Okay, well, first, I really enjoyed the movie,
Thank you.
and
Thank you so much.
noticed a lot of, a lot of stylistic elements. And if you could talk a little bit about using black and white and chiaroscuro.
Well, of course, probably 90% of the greatest movies ever made that we got to see, the treat, given that movies are so young, were in black and white. So, it's hard to say what our emotional reaction is to black and white. Firstly, it tends to make the film maybe seem older than it is or from another tradition. My attitude about black and white is it's just another aspect of photography. In the art photography, like when people are selling beautiful photographic prints, half of them are in black and white, or if you read a book on photography, many of the books are black and white, and then of course many also in color. And somehow I enjoy that diversity in photography because black and white is certainly not just color without color. It's a different philosophy of lighting, and because everything is either black, white, or gray. So if you want to separate something from the wall, you can't rely on the fact, well, the wall is orange. So you have to light it and model it, and it's a different skill and a different aesthetic. And my feeling just is that, well, it ought to be a choice that if you're telling a story that you think the style would be good in black and white, you ought to be able to do it. But unfortunately, I don't know, about 20 years ago, certain television executives said, well, if it's not color, we pay half to have it on television, which is in effect an economic reason why movies can't be in black and white anymore. Or if you say, I'm going to make my movie in black and white, you know that you're going to be, you're not going to be able to get your money back, so nobody does it. But I just was, I made one or two black and white films in my entire career, and I think it's a beautiful form, and it just felt right for me for the story. Sometimes I think black and white in a funny way, even though it's not. It seems more realistic or more, a different kind of reality, and very often color, certain kind of color seems garish or romanticized, or in fact, people are always trying to drain the color out of it to make it have a little bit more of the black and white. I once did a play. When I was a kid, about 17, I directed a crazy production in my college of Streetcar Named Desire, and I did it black and white. So it's a choice, and when you approach a movie, you always ask, what style should it be? Is the camera going to be very still and classic, or is it going to move all over the place? You have many choices to make, and you try to choose what would be best for that theme and that story.
Vincent Gallo was, as usual, awesome in this movie. And is there a different dynamic when you're working with an actor who is also a director in his own right?
Interesting question. I don't think so. I think actors make very good directors. I really think of all the people who become directors, writers, screenwriters, or editors, photographers, you'd think, they'd be great at it. But statistically, you'd have to say that the directors who came from being actors have the best track record, so to speak. And I think it's because, movies really, the two important elements are writing and acting coming together. And a lot of people just don't understand what an actor does or goes through. I mean, we think we do, but when it really comes down to how you could help an actor get a more wonderful performance, there are many, 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 many techniques and things you can do, but a lot of people don't really know it unless they've been actors, and so usually actors direct sometimes out of self-defense, which I think the case of Vincent is that he wanted to act and he wanted a chance to act, and one way of doing that is to not just sit at home and wait for someone to call you up on the phone, but to write a script and get out there and make the film. So I find that actors who have been directors are grateful when they work with a director who likes actors, who loves actors. Actors are sensitive that they're considered weird and difficult and what have you. And it is true that on a set, if you're working on the set, if you're doing something and the photographer looks to his gaffer and goes like this and stuff, they'll stop and spend 20 minutes to correct the light coming in from the Venetian blind that's doing something. Everyone is, well, this. But if an actor says, well, I need a minute, and you take 20 minutes to do some therapy for the actor, they're all saying, "Oh my God, what is this?" They're very intolerant, and the crew is usually, "Oh, that guy is a prima donna and stuff," and yet everyone knows that it's the performance that is, in a way, right there in the focus. And actors have it tough because every other artist, if you're a cellist, you're making beautiful music, but there's the instrument there. You're hiding behind the instrument, and an actor doesn't have anybody to hide behind. He's doing his work, but he's just got his own body and soul. So it's a very it's a tough job.
All right, and my last question is, the theme of paterfamilias battles between brothers and fathers and sons is familiar in a lot of your work. But one thing that struck me about this movie was there was a lot of attention paid to the women as well.
Well, you can't have a beautiful movie without women in something of a central role, I think. And the way I planned it was there was the young kid, the young brother who idolized, and there was the older brother who had some dark mystery involved. But it was the woman played by Maribel Verdú who was the heart between them, and trying who had sort of decided that the young brother was good for the older brother, that somehow he had to reconcile himself with whatever ghosts were following him from his family. And, I don't know, when I read a book or see a movie, I just start getting interested in when there's a woman, novels, reading War and Peace, suddenly there was Natasha, and she had this heartbreaking decision to make. I'm very partial to women characters. I know in my films I haven't maybe featured women, although in my earlier original scripts like this, The Rain People was all about a woman sort of running away from the idea of marriage, and I would like to do better and more. I've also been very shy about romantic or sexual things. I wonder about that. I think I must be not a Puritan, but maybe I find all that stuff like so important or so, personally powerful that I'm shy when you have to ask actors to, let's do this or that. I notice now that I'm making films more in a personal way, what my own. I tend to be a little, I never show people in the bathroom, or I saw movies, guys sitting on the toilet talking to his wife, and I say, God, I'd never do that.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
I hope my